Hey everyone, this is T.O.T. It has been a while. I was in the process of working on a different video, but because I keep getting video recommendations about Honkai Star Rail Powercreep, I thought I would weigh in on my thoughts on it, considering how gacha-wise I've originated from Honkai Impact 3rd, one of MiHoYo's older game titles. Powercreep topic is not anything new to Honkai Star Rail. It's been brought up numerous times. I think what really kicked it to another level was during 2.6 Memorial Memory of Chaos, when there was the Banana TV boss and individuals found out how much HP that the boss had. And more recently, a certain content creator just decided to throw more gas on the fire. So here we are. There's gonna be a few things that I want to try to address in this video, and yeah, we'll just go from there. Oh, for the sake of context, this gameplay that's in the background, this is Memory of Chaos 2.0 gameplay. It will connect to this video at some point, I promise. So the first crowd I want to go ahead and address is going to be the free-to-play players who've only been playing for about 3 or 4 patches. So typically, maybe 6 to 8 months, something along those lines, right? If you are a player who is in this category, you've been playing consistently, you understand speed tuning to an extent, you know how to put together a team comp that has good synergy within itself and it functions well, you're doing everything correct on your end. Originally, Memory of Chaos didn't have 11 and 12. Those were added later on. So because I know 11 and 12 are radically harder than 10. In my opinion, as long as you're getting 3-star on Memory of Chaos 10, you can gradually make progression on 11 and 12 until you get the 3-star for each of those stages as well. It's just going to take time, because even though you've taken out the time, you grinded out all the jades, you may have done your research, you have an understanding of the game mechanics, you're still playing a gacha game that is time gated. You're going to need a lot of Trailblaze power, and unfortunately, that's time gated, and that's just something that you don't have at your advantage right now. You just simply haven't played the game long enough. No fault of your own. One thing that I will say though is, even if you were a player who started back in like 2.0, for example, you already lost out on a lot of freebie resources already. So just from like login events alone, there was like 65 pulls you would have lost out on, and that doesn't even include the limited time rewards from some of the major events. So I can comfortably say that a 1.0 player versus a 2.0 player, right? That 1.0 player already was able to pull at least one more 5-star ahead of you, just because they started playing the game a lot sooner than you. It's going to take time. I remember back when I was playing Honkai Impact 3rd starting off, it took me playing that game about 6-ish months before my account really started to form and take shape. It's going to take a while. This is just the nature of this type of gacha game. Next crowd I want to go ahead and address is going to be the casual free-to-play players who want to get full stars in all the in-game modes. I'm just going to be blunt. I'm going to be honest. If you are somebody who plays the game casually and you wish to get full stars in all the in-game modes, something has to change on your end. Either A, you have to play the game more consistently, or B, you're going to have to start spending money. Logging into the game 2 or 3 times per week isn't going to cut it. Now, I understand the argument could be, well, I could do that in Genshin, I could do that in various other games, I could build up my account, leave for months on end, come back and pick up, and my account's still at the same power level. And that's valid for those respective games. There are games out there where you can take months off, come back, and it's like you never missed a beat. Games like Honkai Impact 3rd and Honkai Star Rail are not those type of games. If you take an extensive time off from these games, you will be punished for it as a free-to-play that's playing casually. So again, you either log in more consistently if you do care about those in-game rewards, or you spend money. And if you're not willing to do either one of those, then you may just want to give up on pursuing that particular piece of the game and just be satisfied with whatever you can get accomplished. Let me give you an example. Let's say hypothetically you start going to the gym, right? You're not going to hit a 400-pound deadlift within like your first month, more than likely, right? Unless you're built different. It's going to take time and you have to build up to that. And even when you do build up to it, you still have to maintain that strength by going to the gym, maintaining your strength, because if you stop going to the gym, you lose out on strength, you lose out on endurance, you lose out on a lot of things. So it's not just, I hit this point, I don't have to do anything anymore. You have to be consistent and you have to stay on top of it. And also beyond that, if you are a casual free-to-play player, in my opinion, I don't feel like it's fair that as a player, casual free-to-play, you put in the absolute bare minimum effort and you expect to be rewarded the same as, the free-to-play who is logging in consistently almost every single day. They're utilizing the Trailblaze power almost every single day. They rarely ever let it overcap, and they're making the right moves to make their account progression better. Again, there's games out there where, yeah, you could take a lot of time off. You could play super casual. Honkai Star Rail is not going to be one of those games. And if that's going to be an issue for you moving forward, either you give up on the in-game content or you just find a different game to play altogether, something that is more catered to your play style and approach with playing games. And finally, I want to address the crowd who consistently gives this narrative of character X gets power crept after 3 to 4 patches. Okay, I think I understand why this commentary pops up so much. For the individuals who make this kind of commentary, what they're doing is they're putting every single DPS, regardless of their element, regardless of how they deal their damage, that could be single target, blast, or full-blown AoE, and putting them all in the same basket, right? Now, I can tell you, as somebody who came from Honkai Impact 3rd, it's not a good idea to do that. Let me explain why. In context of Honkai Impact 3rd, for example, no player is saying something like, oh, well, Thalima power crept Cinedina. Nobody's saying that, because players understand that your element and your damage type matters a lot, because there's enemies in this game. Because in Honkai Impact 3rd, we have weather systems. For example, you might have a weather that's plus 50% fire damage, minus 50% ice damage, just to give you an example. And then there's type counters and type counter disadvantages that's in that game as well. Genshin Impact also has its own elemental checks. So for example, if there's an Abyss Lector, you would ideally not take a Pyro character to that particular fight, because in the second phase, that character is not going to be able to be effective at all. We don't have like super hard elemental checks in Star Rail yet, but there are still enemies that have very high elemental resist in certain aspects. For example, if Kafka is being ran in Memory Chaos or Apocalypse Shadow or whatever the in-game mode is, most players are not going to take a lightning DPS to deal with Kafka, because Kafka has like 40% lightning resist. When Herta comes out, she's not power creeping any of the premium 5-star options that we have currently. Sure, you could say Jin Liu is getting power crept, but let's be honest, Jin Liu was never good in pure fiction to begin with. Even if somebody could use her, she still wasn't all that great of a pick when, you know, you had 4-star Herta that existed. You could argue that, oh, she's power creeping her puppet form. Yes and no. And the reason why I say this is because what's happening with Herta specifically is this is a repeat of Genshin Impact's Jinsho Yelan effect. So for individuals who aren't familiar with Genshin Impact, there was a point in time to where Yelan was a new 5-star character. She basically did off-field hydro damage on a single target, similar to Jinsho. A lot of individuals at that point in time thought that Yelan would just outright power creep Jinsho, and even though to this day, Yelan with constellations or without probably will outdamage Jinsho, Jinsho and Yelan work so well in tandem that there are a good number of players that just use both of them at the same time for their respective pyro DPS. The same thing is going to happen in Honkai Star Rail. Puppet Herta is not going to be getting used less in regards to pure fiction if there's ice weakness enemies. It's just going to be Herta and Puppet Herta being used together in the same team comp, because they're going to work very well in tandem with one another. At the end of the day, I'm not going to put all the DPSs in a single basket, because elemental coverage matters. There might be certain situations where one element is heavily resisted and I may still have to use other characters. So again, Herta's not power creeping anybody. In fact, there's been very little power creep in regards to 5-star characters. I think the only one that we've blatantly had so far has been Clara being power crept by Young Lee. But even then, that doesn't mean that Clara can't ever perform in any scenario. There are still scenarios where Clara can perform well. It's just not going to be to the same extent as Young Lee. So in regards to the gameplay that's in the background, this was Memory of Chaos 2.0. This was my first 3-star clear that I got in the game. Now, somebody could argue, why are you having this gameplay? It's old. Well, I had to build my way up to this point. I had to stay consistent. I had to plan right. And the stars had to align for me to get this clear. Also, another thing that I would like to say is I had to progress through 11 and 12. It wasn't something that I got overnight. I think for individuals who are, some of the individuals anyways, who are just wanting these instantaneous results, I do put some blame on the internet on that. The way the internet's been structured, a lot of people have been conditioned to want instantaneous results automatically. You type something in online, boom, you get answers automatically. Same thing with YouTube. But a gacha game and MMOs that survive the test of time, these are grindy games in some way, shape, or form. And someone could say, oh, well, you're not using Blade or Kafka or Silverwolf anymore. These characters are obsolete. They're not useful anymore. Maybe they are for your account. That hasn't been the case for my account. That hasn't been the case for some other people's accounts out there. I've got a screenshot up on here that will show show you the characters I use for 11 and 12 for 2.7, so you kind of have a little future sight reference. I'm still using these characters. I don't have to pull every single new character in Honkai Star Rail. I wouldn't be able to anyways. Even though my account is very luck boosted, I still have to save from multiple patches on in. I'm doing that right now in regards to skipping 2.7 and 3.0. I'm doing that literally right now, just saving up for what's to come. And I don't have to pull every shiny character that comes out. I'm completely content with what I have for right now, and I'll pull in some new stuff here and there, obviously. Honkai Star Rail's dev team and marketing team do a really good job making every single character being very appealing to pull, and that's really good, because at the end of the day, if every character they make is super appealing, that means you can't really go wrong pulling a particular individual character in isolation. Of course, you just need to make sure that that character has synergy with your account, but that's a different topic. To wrap up my point and everything that I've been trying to explain in this video, maybe I didn't do a very good job. Honkai Star Rail is a marathon. It is not a sprint. If you take another time to watch this or listen to this, I just want to say thank you so much for your time. Once again, Happy New Year's. You be safe out there. Deuces.
Time for a fun. This is double speed.
That paradise, savor it for me.
To travel.
Time failed to send you.
We've entered the storm. To guard and defend. Crush them. A decisive moment in the battle. Lend me your strength.
I will dispatch you.
Can I have fun this time? Specimen sighted. Deep breath. More enemies. Time for a buzz. This is double speed. This battle is unavoidable.
Your end approaches. That paradise, savor it for me.
This combat. This is double speed. To travel. We've entered the storm. To guard and defend. Crush them. Lend me your strength.
A blade knows no mercy. Failed to send you.